Hey all, boardgamerants here. We'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. I have here Trickerion with its first major expansion, Dahlgaard Academy. Has a solo variant. I'm going to do a tutorial, bit of a playthrough. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we are going to first let you know, and by we I mean me, this is all the Dahlgaard Academy stuff. We're not going to go over any of it. There's so much goody yum stuff here, but there's already so much to talk about when we're just trying to play the solo variant, which is represented by the heir, who is this board, which I'm going to go over in a second, but it was designed really to be played with the Academy, but mercifully, they made a way to cut your teeth on this with only the base game. You have to use the Dark Alley expansion with the base game, but you can play this solo variant without the Academy. So that's what I'm going to focus on, because then that way, hopefully, this will sink in a little more for you. Maybe later on in a different video, I'll go over the Academy and how that's all incorporated. But right now, let's just go over this and some of the components that come with it so we can start up our game here. I do want to say that I'm not going to go over how to play Trickerion, the base game. I'm going to assume you know how to play that. This is just going to be how to incorporate the solo variant. And with the solo variant, there's a few things that come with the Dahlgaard Academy that allow you to play solo, and that is these performance cards. These performance cards actually come with pre-printed links on them. That allows us to make links easier in this two-player format, which is how the solo works. So we're going to be setting up our games with these performance cards instead of the normal ones. Here, during the assignment phase, these are the cards the heir is going to use to determine what actions it's going to take. And you'll have these, and then you'll be placing the appropriate cards up here that match that. And there's quite a bit more to that, but I'll go over that. That's how it's going to determine what actions it's going to take. And then here, you got a whole pile, and some of these are new and improved, if you will, of characters that you can play. And the heir, which is represented by this little feathery symbol, as you can see all over the place, is going to have its own little powers here that are explained. So after I pick my character, the heir is going to get theirs, and they're going to get their little posters. And then the heir is going to have its own hand of assignment cards, just like we will. And we have this board. This board is double-sided. And up here, that little symbol means when you're playing with the Academy. We are not playing with the Academy. We're going to be playing the other side, which just has fewer stuff. It's a lot more simplified because we're not dealing with all of the Academy and all of its stuff up there. We are just going to be playing the Dark Alley. And so this will be the way to go, I think, and as far as teaching you how this works out. So out here, the other difference is you're going to see these dice. And these are going to be used to block spaces. We're going to use these little tokens, little block action spaces, so that it makes for tighter decisions and whatnot. We'll have to roll those for each of the 4 main spots out here. And let me go ahead and set myself up. It's just like a normal 2-player game, and then we will set up the heir. So I have picked the escape trick category. Once I picked my magician there, the heir has to pick a different trick category randomly. But I have my board set out here with my manager. I've managed to get the components enough to be able to set up my water tank escape trick. So that is all placed out there. And up here, we've got the Riverside set up the performance deck, just like I explained, but using the solo cards that come with the expansion. And then here, I've rolled the initial dice, but then you have these dice here as well, which all are color coded, so you know this goes to the Dark Alley, this goes to the Market Row. And on them, when you roll them, you have the little arrow on the bottom after you roll the die, and that tells you left to right what spaces to block, the particular worker action spaces to block. So that's why there's 2 purple tokens blocking those spaces there. Same up here for downtown. Rolled and came up with that. So these are the only 2 spaces available this particular turn. And then with the theater, mark that one off and that one off. And then down here, we have the Dark Alley with 2 spaces blocked off there. Each turn thereafter, as we march our way up, we're going to be rolling 2 dice to mix that up at the beginning of each turn, as you shall see. But right now, that's the way this is set up here. And then down here, so randomly I picked, and the heir is going to be the priest priestess of mysticism this time, so spiritual tricks. And she also, or the heir I should say, is also going to get their first trick. It's going to be a level 1 trick, but they're going to pick randomly, and they're never going to pick the one that just has the 2 components. They're always going to pick the more complex of the level 1s. So you'll always disregard that. We'll randomly grab one of these, and so she's got, that was super random, boom. Spirit Hand is going to be the heir's first trick. Now when you discover what that first trick is, it's going to come loaded up. And that's the way, when you have these out here, you're going to find that, that really the heir is never going to take actions to prepare tricks. They're just going to come pre-prepared. So first of all, we'll assign a trick marker. We'll make it clubs. It's going to come prepared with 2 trick markers. And then just going to create a shopping list. And that shopping list is going to be one of each of the components needed for the Spirit Hand. Now, the heir doesn't really need to worry about that. That's just going to be when the heir takes a market row action. That's how it's going to mix things up there in market row for us. But so we need to grab a bird and a rope and whatever that is, a cloth. And I'll grab that now. Okay, so I've got the goods here. So this is the shopping list area, and one of each good is going to go there that was on that trick card. We'll get to what the heir does with that later. And then depending on your difficulty, the heir is going to start with a certain number of characters. For now, playing on normal, which is what I'm playing on, it's going to start with a magician, a random specialist, and then 2 apprentice. And you can play, you know, on easy, I think you start with 1 less apprentice, and maybe on hard you start off with 3. And then if this is flipped over and you're playing with the Academy, then there's actually a protege that'll be thrown in there. But anyway, we're just playing the basic. So there's our normal setup right there. Now, here are the plan cards. So this is kind of an important concept. And so now we have to build the plan deck. There's 8 cards here, but there's only 7 turns in the whole game. So we got to get this down to 7. And so I'll flip these over. What we have here, there's 2 different types. There's going to be this like performance card, and then there's going to be 4 of those. And the performance cards are noted that they have this little, they've got symbols both in the top and bottom of the card. And so there's all of those. Then there's going to be 4 basically setup cards. And those are just going to have a little symbol on the top. Nothing on the bottom, as you know. And that's all of these. So to create the plan deck for the heir, which is going to determine what cards get assigned each round, we start off by taking a random performance card. So here's 4 of these. I'm just going to grab a random one. That's going to go on the bottom of our deck. So we'll set that there. So now we've got the setups here and the performance here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 performance cards and 1 setup card. We're going to mix these together. And then we're going to take 2 random ones out of these 3. So let's, I don't know, let's take this one. We're going to set it on that card that we started with, and another one, and then we're going to get rid. So this is either a performance or a setup card. We don't know. We're going to discard that. That's out of the game. Now, we're going to take 2 setup cards, and the last performance card here, we're going to mix it up. It's not easy to do one-handed, but there we have it. I'll try to keep all the symbols here lined up. That's going to go on here as well. And then the first card, so we know that this is a setup card, is going to go there. We just don't know which setup card it is. So that is the heir's plan deck. That's going to determine what cards get flipped over for each round during the assigned card phase. So we are all set up. And again, I might have already mentioned, the heir starts with normal deck of assignment cards. Let's see it all starts playing out here. One other quick note, you'll notice no money, no shards. There's a little spot where you'll keep money and shards. We start off with the standard 10 and 1 there, but the heir starts off with nothing, and we get to start the game in priority right there at the top each game, but that will swap depending on what happens here with our fame points as normal. So I've already rolled those dice. That's actually kind of the first part of the turn, then set the initiative order like so. Advertising. So the heir always, and this is just kind of a simple thing, the heir, no matter where the heir is at, and the heir is going to be represented by red, I'm going to be blue, is always going to advertise and always gets to do it for free. So, 2 points for the air right off the bat. I, however, am going to go ahead and spend a cool coin. Advertising as well, not to be left out. Bump myself up a couple fame. Now, it's time for the assignment phase. During the assignment phase, we always assign cards first. You don't have to hide them because there's nobody to hide them, for. But after we've picked our assignment phase, or assignment, then we flip over this card to see what the air does. And you do that each time. Doesn't matter what the initiative is, you always pick first, and then you get to see what the air is going to do. So let me pick my cards here first. Okay, there we have it. There's my setup here initially. Now we're going to go over and flip over the setup card, see what the air plans on doing. So we flip it over. We know this is going to be a setup card because, again, it just has that symbol up on the top. So it has 2 spots it can go, here or here. It can only go up there if it has symbols both top and bottom, and then that's when that bottom symbol on the card will match up with this little performance symbol. When it's a setup card, it always has to go here. And the difference is that you'll use these icons to determine what the preference is for the air that particular turn, the order in which it's going to take actions. And you can see that it switches up a little bit. On the right 3 side, it's going to go, Market Row, Dark Alley, and then Workshop. And that's the same for both these. But over on the left side, you can see it kind of mixes up downtown and theater, and then where it prefers to place its workers in the theater is mixed up there too. So that does matter quite a bit. So right here, though, this card is going to go down here. It'll match up nicely with the pre-printed icon on the board, and we can see that the air wants to do a downtown action there, Market Row action there, Workshop there, theater there, and then doesn't have anybody there, so you can just ignore that for now. Otherwise, if there was someone there to perform the Dark Alley action, it would place a Dark Alley card there. So that is what the air is going to be doing. So we have the initiative, so we get to pick first. Now we're gonna take a look at this too, because there's going to be 2 different ways actually that the air is going to determine what it's going to do. First, it's going to look at any contested actions. So right now, I want to go downtown, which you saw on my board over there. I also want to go to Market Row, but I also want to go to Dark Alley. So Dark Alley doesn't exist here because he didn't have enough workers. However, downtown and Market Row are contested. Remember, there's only 2 spots on the board. Typically, there's a good spot. Now, Dark Alley, they're just both the same, but there's kind of a good spot and a bad spot. So, being first, I get to pick first, and then whatever's left, it's going to be downtown here, Market Row for the air. And then once there's nothing contested, then it's going to kind of go back from left to right here and pick out the rest of its actions, as you shall see. But I am going to, with that knowledge there, I think I'm going to go to downtown and see what I can come up with there. So I'm going to place my magician there. I got 5 action points to spend. And really, right now, can't get any of those tricks yet, but I'm looking for some helping hands here. So I've got 2 options here. There's not much on the money front, so not too interested there. But if I throw in a shard here, I can actually take both of those characters. I think I'm going to do that with my 1 starting shard. And we'll X these out, and I'm going to get, looks like an engineer and apprentice. Okay, got my tokens there, ready to rock and roll next turn. And also, too, I had flipped these over because I had forgot to flip them over during setup. And I can see the components are going to be, everything's going to be 2 coins each later on. Then the bonuses are going to matter there. And performances, setting up mechanical tricks is going to give us points. So anyway, I took care of that. But now we go over to here. And so from left to right, we're going to work on contested areas first. Downtown's no longer contested because I already took that action. And so it's going to move on to the next contested action, which is Market Row. I want to go to the Market Row. So does the air. The air is going to take this. And again, you're kind of looking at this. First it would go downtown. Then it would go to the theater if that was contested. Now it's going to go to Market Row. So Market Row. Going to take its worker, place it on the highest one there. Now this is where you are going to, still like me, be using this solo player aid. This thing comes in handy because for each of the different actions, of course we don't have to worry about the Academy up there, but it's going to tell you what the air does. When it goes to the Market Row, it's going to discard all components from the shopping list that are available to buy. Then it's going to order 1 component per action from the shopping list. So Discard all components from the shopping list that are available to buy right now. The one that's available to buy is this cloth. So we'll discard that. And now it's going to order one component from its shopping list. It's got these left that aren't available to buy. And it's got up to 4 actions to do it. Well, there's only 2 here. So you would randomly, you know, mix these up, blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to place them in the order section here in reading order, top to bottom. So we'll grab this one. I'll go there. And the bird will go there. And those are just going to swap over during that end of the phase action, as you shall see. And we're done. It took its action, and now it is back to me. And now we don't have any contested areas. So I can go to the dark alley, market row. Well, the market row, I kind of have a little bit of a plan in action here, so I think I'll just go here. But I get the crummy spot now, so I got 2 action points. And I know I'm going to want another metal. So I'm going to, or if that's metal, so I'll spend an action point to be able to buy one of those. And we're going to place that right here on our board there. And then I know I'm going to want to order up some oil. So we're going to take, for our second action point, and we're going to order up, we'll just put it right there, order up that oil. So we are done with our turn. We go back. So now there is nothing contested. So working its way left to right with nothing contested, it's going to start back and it's going to go downtown. So it's going to take Magician. You're going to go downtown. And now here's where it's a little bit of a change here with the air. The action points kind of mattered here in Market Row, but the action points pretty much everywhere else matter a little bit less. It's just you sum up its action points. 3 plus 0 is 3. Then, depending on the difficulty you're playing, you'll look, if it's downtown and it has 3 actions, on normal level, it's going to take 1 die. So it's going to affect one of those dice, and it's going to do it in a certain order. Its preference first is going to be to learn a trick if it has less than 2 tricks of its matching level. Its matching level right now is level 1. And so level 1 being when the fame is in its yellow section. Level 2 is when it's in orange, and level 3 is when it's in red. And so it has, though, only 1 trick here. So it is going to try and learn a trick because it has less than 2. So it'll come up here. It's going to see what dice are available. The only dice available, the only trick available is this one right here, the optical trick. So it's going to flip this over to X. I'm going to use it up. Now it's going to go up. It's going to look at the opticals. And again, it's going to randomly pick, but not the one, the real basic one that only takes 2. So it's going to take these 3. Going to randomly pick one of these. And comes up with Rabbit from the Top Hat. So I'll put these back. These are still available as usual. And then Rabbit from the Top Hat. So there's a nice little key here, a nice little reminder that it's going to want to put its tricks in the order of fame. So most fame first. So it's going to look at this. This would create 3 fame. This trick would only create 2. So this trick is going to slide over. And you can see kind of the fame star there goes from biggest to smallest. So this will go here. Now, if fame, if it was tied on fame, then it would go to shards. If it was tied on shards, it would go to money. So that's how it'll break tiebreakers. But no tiebreaker needed. But again, once it gets a trick, you assign a trick marker. We'll make it spades. It prepares that trick right away. And then 1 each of the components needed. So again, a little bird, and then the cloth, and then the little metally symbol. So I've got 1 each of those. Set that over in its little shopping list there again. For the next time it takes the market row action, it'll resolve that, and we're done. It is back over to our turn. Well, all I got left, the dark alley. I'm going to take my apprentice. I'm going to go over to the dark alley here. And we've got, darn it, I used my shard. I was planning on maybe grabbing 2 cards, but that's okay. I'll grab one of these cards here, Arranged Fiasco. That's always a nice one. Oust him of some fame points, the air that way. So I'll grab that for 1, and then I could rotate these if I wanted to. And, well, let's see here. I'm going to want some components, but I don't really want any super expensive components, so we're going to go ahead and rotate these 1, like that. Okay. So we are now done, and it's back over, And again, looking, again, nothing's contested, so downtown, then it wants to go to the theater. And when it places a worker on the theater, it wants to go closest to Sunday. So it's going to take this, it's going to look up here, and these spots are blocked off, so it can only go here or here. Once closest to Sunday, it's going to go there. But when the air comes over here, it doesn't look at any of these modifiers, -1s or 0s or anything. It's not going to take into account. It's pretty simplified over here, so it's just going to get the one action point. And it says over here in the theater, and again, magician always performs, but it says ignore the modifiers backstage. Place trick markers as follows. So we're on normal level. It's got one action point available, and on normal level, it's just going to place one trick. It's always going to go left to right, and it wants to place, because it wants the most fame points, so it's going to place this trick, an optical trick. It has to follow the same rules, but when it places out here, this is pretty simple. There's only one card to place. But if there were more cards, it would want to place tricks legally, where it has tricks already, and then where it has tricks and I have tricks. But right now, it's just got the one choice. It wants to, ooh, this is a nice one too. It's going to place that right there, creating a link and a shard for itself. The air always takes fame points, never takes money in this case. So it's going to go up 1 and get its first shard. There we go. These, just like us, are going to count for 1 point at the end of the game. It's never going to use them. It's just going to kind of stockpile them there. Money, when it gets money, it's never going to use any money to buy anything. It's just going to trade them in at the end of a turn. 10 money, and it's going to get fame points based on the level we're playing, which on normal, it'll get 3 points. If we're playing easy, it'll only get 2 for every 10 money. But we're going to be giving it, for every 10 money, 3 fame points. As you'll see, that'll happen later. Okay, that is it. I have nobody else to pick. Now, the workshop is super easy. Whenever it's going to take the workshop action, it simply does nothing. The air does nothing with the workshop action. It just kind of takes up an action. You just put it there. That's how I handle that. Then it would go back to me, but that was the last turn or the last action of this turn. So now, we got to tidy this place up. So the way that works, of course, there's nobody over there performing. And so we have to pay wages. So we'll go over here. We're going to see what wages we got to pay. I got to pay 1, 2, 3 coins. And this is where, if the air had any money, it never pays wages, never has to worry about paying anybody. It's just going to spend money to get points in this at this point of the turn. But it has no money, so we don't have to worry about that. So the next thing is to gather up all our characters back. So we got all our guys back, orders arrive. So we'll go up here. These are going to shift over, of course, and take up these spaces per usual. And I'll slam those right over there. Then we can move performance cards. This would shift over here. This gets flipped over like that. And we're going to move the turn counter. Now we're going to move the prophecies. This is going to slide up here. It's going to go here. It's going to go here. New prophecy. And then discard special assignment cards if we had any to discard. And then we'll cycle these. So I'm going to cycle all these. And then we're going to get started with the next turn. Lastly, I forgot to take those posters. The posters are all gone. We're just going to call this part 1 of this tutorial. Thank you for joining me. Hang with me till next video, and we'll continue on in this tutorial using the solo variant found in Dahlgaard Academy and on boardgamerants. Thanks for watching.